Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Easy Does It, a podcast created specifically for the amazing members of the MJ team. Rob and I are excited to be back with you again today. We have another great episode. It's a guest host episode. Rob, who do we have with us today?
Tell them who this man is. Y'all, I'm excited to have this gentleman on here today. It's been a long time coming. He's been here at MJ for a long time. But he's a legend. Everybody knows who this man is. He is a legacy changer. He's changed a lot of people's lives here. He's a tech builder. Not only did he go through the program, but he also builds techs even to this day. He's a goat hunter. You'll hear about that, I'm sure. Everybody welcome on Brett Sumpter.
Woohoo!
Applause in the background.
Yes.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Thanks for taking the time. This is going to be awesome.
Yes. I think there's a lot of technicians out there that will be interested in the Brett Sumpter episode.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, this is probably going to be one of the highest listened to. Like, who is this fool?
Yeah.
I'm sure I'll hear all about it.
Yeah, she
after it
will.
airs.
Yeah, she will. We'll have to get this one out quick.
That's right. Yeah. Okay. Hit us with the would you rather.
Okay.
I heard it specifically.
Yes. Okay. So this one's specifically for Brett. Now, a little background. Me and Brett have been camping a few times together. And so this one's right on par. This did not happen. I need to make sure this is clear. But if you were on Naked Afraid for 3 weeks, which place would you rather go? The Louisiana swamp. Remember, it's Naked and Afraid. And all you got is a knife. Or in the middle of the ocean, but you have endless fresh water. 3 weeks.
Is it on an island?
What? No, you
In the
out at
ocean?
sea. You out at sea.
Oh, then I got to be in the swamp. I get seasick. That was an easy one.
Dang it. If it was on the island, you would switch it up?
Probably, yeah.
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 Get a look.
Yeah.
Did you see the guy, it was the fella and the lady. He goes out there. I think he was in the military or something. They show up. He didn't make it 2 days. He got massive sunburn over his whole body.
I didn't
And then
see
he
that.
was down for the count.
No.
He gave up like
No.
3 days in. He's like, I'm out. We can't do that.
Yeah. You know, the mosquitoes pretty much drove us out of North Carolina partly. And so I don't know that I would,
Oh my gosh.
I don't
it's
know
so
that I
bad.
could go back to it after living in a high desert climate.
Yeah. And there was one that they were in the swamp and they were just getting eaten alive every day for
Yeah,
3-4
I couldn't do
weeks.
it.
It was awful.
Yeah.
I don't.
Let's go. It's your turn.
What you got?
Listen, our avid listeners know there's no point in me even answering this question.
But you got to answer.
Okay.
You got to choose one. You at the ocean?
I don't even go out in the woods behind my house. So, okay, let's just preface that.
She's on Snake Patrol. She's on the Snake Facebook page identifying snakes. She can identify all North Carolina snakes.
Yeah,
at this point.
yeah. Copperheads, you know, if you smell cucumber, I don't know if that's actually true. I'm not testing it
idea.
out. That's what I've read. I mean, I'm just saying.
Are you walking around in the bushes? Like, I smell cucumbers. Let me go investigate. Let me get down on my hands and knees and investigate.
Absolutely not. Okay, so definitely not. We have already talked about this on here before. I am not picking anything that puts me out at sea unless I am on a cruise ship. Okay? So I think that one's out. But the swamp situation, boy, that sounds really horrible.
Have you watched Naked and Afraid?
No.
You haven't? I know you have.
I've seen parts of it. Yeah.
You haven't watched many of them?
No.
Me and Susie.
They're legitimately naked?
Yeah, you naked.
Yeah.
What?
You naked.
What?
Oh yeah. It's usually a man and a woman go out there. They have survival skills. They rate them prior, and then they rate them afterwards of did they increase, decrease, and you can give up. But I think it's 3 weeks, 3 or 4 weeks out in the woods or wherever. I think the only one they give you like some bit of clothing is like the ones that are out in like the winter areas or whatever, the cold areas. But y'all, I'm gonna go out in that ocean because them mosquitoes for 3-4 weeks, you ain't got no covering on.
This is only because he's had a recent experience of being eaten up by mosquitoes. It's like there's some recent trauma there.
There's some trauma.
We finished our batting cage in the backyard. I pieced this together with scraps, and we finally finished, but I got the big net. It weighs like 150 pounds. I'm dragging it through the backyard trying to hang a net up, and I'm getting eaten alive in my backyard. My son's helping me. He's taking his sweet time. We're getting bit up. I'm like, hurry up, finish. So I ain't going out in them woods. We ain't doing that, Brett. There's my final decision.
Okay, I'm going to pick the swamp because I can't go out in the water. I don't think. Especially not like on a raft of some sort. If it was an island,
maybe.
Maybe. But then, like, I don't know. It's just,
Well, I had
this
to-
is appealing to me.
You ain't gonna make it very long if you out to sea with no water. So I had to throw the water in.
Yeah.
But at least you have that. But if you're on an island for 3 weeks, you could do that. That wouldn't be too bad.
Yeah.
No.
It'd be like it
It'd
wouldn't be
better
a
than the
vacation,
swamp.
but yeah, it'd be better than the
Yeah.
swamp.
Yeah.
It's like some Castaway
Yeah.
situation.
Well, here we go. We need to get Ashley on this. I want you to tell me which one would she pick, and then we'll have to find out from her later.
Oh, if it was an island, she'd be island in a bathing suit. Yeah, laying on the beach. She'd never walk away from the beach.
She's out and eat food
Yeah,
for 3
that's
weeks.
her
I'll just chill
ultimate
out.
vacation. I don't know how I dragged her to cold Idaho. But
No, I don't either.
yeah.
Yeah.
Bless you, Ashley.
That's
Bless
right.
you. All right, so we got some rapid fire questions for you, my
Okay.
man.
Okay.
Hit him up, Meredith.
All right. First one. Fill in the blank. Morris-Jenkins is.
Family.
Oh, I like that.
Okay. Good.
I like that. All right. What's something that people often get wrong about you?
I think at times because I'm a high D, they think that I don't care about their feelings just because I communicate so directly with
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
they read into it too much sometimes, you know?
Yeah, it's definitely challenging when people
Yeah.
don't understand that and they first get their first taste. All the tech builders, I know y'all will hear more about Tech Builder later, but I always prepare them for old Brett. I'm like, he's a high D, and I said he's going to shoot it to you straight, and I don't think
Yeah.
anybody experiences that until
Yeah.
they get there, and they're like, oh, I appreciate that because he tells you exactly what he's thinking, which is good.
Yeah. Thankfully, most of our, employees have been through some sort of disc training.
Right.
So they understand it,
Right.
and they understand where it's coming from. But I think sometimes people can take it the wrong way for sure.
Yeah. I can see that. What's the last show you binge watched and loved?
Naked and Afraid.
Oh man, binge watched. We're not like big show people. We don't watch a ton of shows. We're just not huge TV people, but I would say like together we watched would probably be maybe Scandal. Way back when.
Great.
Yeah.
Scandal? What's that one about?
Olivia Pope.
Olivia Pope.
That helps.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Who that is?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my.
We've recently started watching everything on YouTube.
Yeah.
And so we watch you could say we binge watch a YouTube channel.
Okay.
That would be fair.
What was the last
Yeah.
one you watched of that?
It is Matt's Off-Road Recovery. So it's a guy, his channel is he runs like an off-road tow service. So he's in southern Utah and he goes and recovers people that are stuck.
Oh, that's sick. I like that.
Yeah. So part of it is we need that sometimes. And so we're trying to build this bank of skills to how to get out ourselves one day.
Yeah.
But it's just good entertainment.
You can add that to your HVAC services. There you go. Okay, give us a concert you'll never forget.
Garth Brooks.
This sounds like it might be a precursor to
This
the
is foreshadowing.
5-song
Yeah.
playlist.
Foreshadowing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I remember my mom went to see Garth Brooks when I was younger and did not stop talking about that concert for
Yeah.
weeks. It was so great.
Yeah. And this was just, probably 21 or 22. He came through Boise and played at the Blue Stadium, the Blue Field, and filled it up. And even at his age, I mean, he was running around, sweating. I mean, just giving you everything that you paid for 2 hours, 2.5 hours, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
It was awesome. And I'd wanted to see him my whole life.
Yeah.
But just never made it happen. That was like my
Yeah.
favorite artist growing up, and
Sounds
still,
like a good time.
yeah. Oh, it was awesome. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
All right. What's your favorite meal?
Mexican food. Yeah,
Oh, yes.
Mexican food for sure. Yep.
We always
Yep.
made, when we went camping, that was always
That's-
our meal afterwards. That was like, we might have been eating camping food, but we went and got Mexican food every time
Yeah,
afterward.
there's nothing better than coming
Oh,
out of the mountains and
no.
getting Mexican food. So good. Yeah,
So funny.
So good. It's still stuck with me.
yeah.
I
You
just
start
roll-
talking about it halfway in the trip,
Yeah.
We're one day into a 2-day
Chips and
backpacking
salsa.
trip, and it's
Can't
like,
wait.
can't wait till we get to the Mexican restaurant. This gives you something to look forward to.
Brett, I still go on Fridays.
Yeah.
That's my long week. All right, 2 more. Give us a snapshot of an ordinary moment in your life that brought you great joy.
An ordinary moment that brought me great joy. So, and we can talk more about this as we get into it. I'm living like my childhood dream, where I wanted to live, doing the things that I wanted to do for fun. And I often find myself in ordinary moments. And I just had one in July. We were cutting firewood, and I cut firewood with a neighbor of mine. and we're up in the mountains by ourselves, running chainsaws, cutting firewood. And I'll just at times just kind of pause and just take it in and just like, man, this is hard work, but what better place to do it?
Yeah.
You know? And it's just like, this is awesome.
That's great.
Yeah, there is something, this is probably getting into your story, which I know you'll tell us, but so I don't know if you know this, but I follow you and Ashley on Instagram.
I did not know that.
And this is, I guess, how I keep up with everyone here. Corey knows too. I watch everywhere he goes as well. But it is just where you live, which obviously we'll talk about that more here shortly, but it is just so different. The landscape is so different. It's so beautiful. It's so picturesque. I mean, it's like there are pictures that I see on, the Instagram page, and it's like, this could be like art. Like this could hang on someone's wall.
This could be something that Corey took a picture of.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And so it's just like, I could see how when you're out there just walking the dogs or cutting with firewood, how it's like you look around and it's like, wow, this is amazing.
Yeah.
This place that we get to call home. I think that's so cool.
Yeah, I told Tom when we were cutting firewood this last time, I said, Tom, what's wild is there's people that will never get to see this in their life. They'll never get to experience a place like this. And this is where we come to cut wood to heat our house.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is our backyard.
It's just a chore.
Yeah.
You know?
It's part of the everyday. Okay, last one. What is one thing you are deeply grateful for right now?
Health. Yeah. Health for sure.
Yeah.
Every time I go to the doctor, like, what medications do you take? I'm like, none. Like, nothing. I'm like, no, nothing. Try to stay out of the place if I can.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, it's an easy thing to take for granted.
Yeah.
For sure.
Oh, for sure.
In the day-to-day, it's easy to take for granted.
And all the things that we do for fun involve moving your body. And it wasn't until I had carpal tunnel surgery and cubital tunnel surgery on both arms that I realized, man, it's easy to take for granted.
Yeah.
Swinging a hammer hurts now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a small group this morning with the electricians, and we talk about a bunch of different things in that room. But I said, let's take a break today and just kind of talk about our destination, like where we're going in life. And I said, what are some limitations, some things that stand in your way of where you're trying to go? And people listed different things, but one person said health. And I'm like, man, I watched this monk on TV or on YouTube actually, and he says, in broken English, he says, when you healthy, many go. When you sick, one go. And it's so true that if you don't take care of that, you have nothing else that you want to get back to besides being healthy. And small or big, it's something that a lot of times we have control over. Some things we can't, but some things we can. And we take it for granted until you don't have it. And you're like, crap, I got to get back. So I totally get that. Yeah. All right.
Okay. The story of Brett Sumpter. As we were getting ready for this, I did realize that I don't really feel like I even know, despite the fact that we've worked more closely together over the past couple years, I feel like I don't quite know the Brett Sumpter story. So you can start wherever you want to.
Okay.
But what brings us to present day, Brett?
Okay. So I'll hit the real far background just quickly. So I grew up in Salinas, California, which is like on the Monterey Bay, Central California on the coast. And my dad and all of my uncles, almost every one of my uncles were in the trades. And so growing up, that was what I did to make money. Unfortunately, I never had to have a job in food service because everybody says, at some point in your life, you should have a job in food service. I didn't experience that. But my punishment for doing bad, getting in trouble, or if I wanted money to take a girl out or go to the football game on Friday, it was like, well, we're working on Saturday. And then in my summers, that's what I did. I worked. And if my dad didn't have work, then my Uncle John might have work. And if he didn't have work, then my Uncle Gary might be painting a house. And
Sweet.
Yeah. My Uncle Mike was a roofer. And so my Uncle Jim is a cabinet maker. And so there was always some amount of trade work somewhere. That's all I knew. And I remember my dad saying one time that he was hoping that me being in the trades, working with him, would make it so that I didn't like it. Yeah, he was trying to, scare me away from the hard work. And he's like, if you want to be in the trades, be an engineer, be an architect. I'm like, yeah, but I want to be out here.
Yeah.
And,
Backfired.
Yeah, it backfired for sure. Yeah, I fell in love with it. It worked with my other two brothers.
Yeah.
Yeah, it did not work with me.
Dang.
Yeah. Yeah. And so like growing up, people want to be a race car driver or an astronaut. I wanted to be a contractor. I want to be a construction worker.
What do you want for Christmas? I want a construction hat, please, Dad.
Yeah. I'd get his hand-me-down boots, and I'd wear his boots to work, and so I did that, and then I thought, well, maybe I do want to be an engineer. Maybe I do want to be an architect. I'm going to go to college, and so I signed up for community college, and it wasn't 50, 60 days in. I was like, I can't do this.
Yeah.
I can't do this. And so
when you were going to college, what were you maybe thinking about going for?
Engineering.
Just engineering?
Yeah.
So you're going to try to, all right, Dad, I'll
try to achieve what my dad really wanted. And I like mechanical things. And so to me, it kind of made sense too. And, we always played with cars, and I had old trucks and stuff. I like old stuff. Mm-hmm. So I had old trucks, and buddies had classic cars and race cars and stuff. And so we were always messing with that. And then I said, I can't do the school thing. Like, this isn't for me. I've got to work with my hands, at least for now. Maybe I'll get it out of my system. And so I just packed everything up, and I moved to North Carolina. I moved to Charlotte to try to get into NASCAR. That was the goal, was to get a job in racing.
Huh.
How did you determine that something that you wanted to do? Was it you were in a NASCAR when you were in Cali, and then it was like, this would be sweet to get to work on these all the time?
We were a big NASCAR family.
Yeah.
My brother had all the little die casts, and like as the race changed, he would go and move them in order.
That's awesome.
Yeah, on
I
top of
love
the
that.
TV, It's like, oh, Gordon's in front now, put him up front, But my dad liked racing. We liked racing, and we would watch it. And then a friend of my dad's, a contractor friend, his son actually had moved out here and was working in racing. And so I'm like, oh, that's like a path, like you can do that. And so I moved out and did that, and just took any job that I could get. I went to what was then like a pit crew school. They didn't teach you how to work on cars, just how to change tires real fast. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then I just took a job at the bottom and kind of worked my way up from there.
Is there different pathways? Like if you show up to NASCAR and you're like, hey, I want to do this, here's the 5 choices you have, or is it like you kind of have to start and work your way up?
Yeah, you kind of, it's like most jobs, in the lower ranks or in smaller companies or smaller teams, everybody wears a lot of hats. Mm-hmm. Now it's different to where the pit crew members aren't guys like me. The pit crew members are guys that were D1 college athletes that didn't make it to the pros.
Got it.
But back then, that was kind of just starting. It wasn't that exactly. Mm-hmm. And so I was fortunate enough that I came in with a guy that was like a great mentor that taught me, everything that I needed to know, from working on street cars growing up to what's different on a race car specifically. You know? And so I think once you get in, people kind of take a pathway, because once you get to the higher levels, it becomes more specialized.
Yeah.
You specialize in one thing.
What path did you end up taking?
So I was a tire carrier and a suspension mechanic.
Nice.
Yeah. So I worked in the shop and went on the road. Worked on the mechanic on the cars on the road, and then went over the wall pit crew stuff.
Nice, dude.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Did you? But you traveled around a good bit. With the team, right?
Absolutely. So that was one of the downsides of racing, was you're on the road, 34, 36 weeks of the year.
Ooh, yeah. You out there?
Yeah.
Oh my word.
Yeah. So basically from Valentine's Day to Thanksgiving, you'd have like maybe 2 off weekends, 3 off weekends, something like that in there. Yeah.
And through the summer.
Yep.
In
through
that
the summer.
suit.
Yep.
That was just preparing you for what was to come later, I guess.
Yeah.
A little hot attic for you.
Yeah.
And it was great. You're young, you're single, you don't have a family.
Yeah.
You're getting to travel. It's a blast.
Yeah.
I'm probably an adrenaline junkie. I like action sports. I've rode and raced dirt bikes growing up, and skateboard and BMX bikes. I ski, and as Ashley will tell you, I ski way beyond my means, but
you do the fly and fall strategy.
Yeah. So I ski way faster than I should, but I'm probably an adrenaline junkie, and that fueled that.
Sure.
That was like an adrenaline driven job.
Yeah.
I can't imagine having the opportunity to travel around as much. What was your favorite memory of traveling all those years?
Coming from California, it was wild. We had heard of, all these places, and California just kind of looks like California, and there's not much else that looks like it. So I'm coming and moving here, and then I'm like, oh, what's Kansas look like? And what's Texas look like? And one memory that always sticks out is a tornado in Texas that we had at Texas Motor Speedway. And I was like, I didn't think I would ever. The only thing we worry about in California was earthquakes.
Yeah.
Or
and earthquakes and fires.
Yeah. But I was like, man, I've never seen, and a tornado literally came and touched down.
Stop.
Right next to Texas Motor Speedway.
Just hold on to a tire.
It was just crazy. Yeah.
What because so my I have very distinct memories of in my childhood, my grandma was very into NASCAR. And so we would go over to her house for dinner, lunch on Sundays. Yes?
Yep.
Is that when races typically were? Sundays?
Yep.
And it's just like this sound I can hear in my head, the very distinct sound coming from the TV. But in the times that I watched, like, what does it feel like? I've always been kind of enamored with what does it feel like when that car like pulls in and it's like me, and then and the car goes up, it comes down, and it's like, and within seconds it's like it's gone.
Yeah.
That is so crazy to me. Like, I guess that goes back to the adrenaline piece, but like, what is that like?
It's like a football play. At the time's probably pretty similar if you mapped it out, but there's no thinking that goes into it.
Yes.
You can't think. It's too fast to think. And it is just, you're going off of muscle memory. You're going off of practice. You're just literally relying on practice and what you've been doing every day,
Yeah.
practicing.
So you would, I guess that's the thing that people don't see is the amount of practice that happens prior to the few times that you see it during a race.
Yeah. Every day, working out and practice, pit practice. Yeah. Yeah.
I guess that's the only way you get something like that down to seconds.
To muscle memory. Yeah.
What's the goal? Like, what's the ideal standard time for?
So now it's a little different. They've changed. They don't have the now it's just one big.
Yep.
Oh,
so they
that's
just have one big.
They have one big what?
One big lug, essentially. One big lug nut.
Okay, good. I'm glad someone else is here, so I don't have to do this.
So it's a little different now. I don't know what kind of pit times they're doing. Back then it was 13 seconds, 12 seconds. 12 seconds was fast pit stop.
Wow.
Yeah. 13 seconds was good. If you could do 13s, you were good and you were getting bonused on it and making money.
Nice.
14, you're going to get yelled at,
Yeah.
Had you ever been to a NASCAR race prior to when you came out here and started working for them?
Yes. And we would go to all kinds of races. There was a racetrack right in Monterey, 20 minutes from us. And that was always a thing that we would go to. There's 4 kids in my family. And so for my dad to entertain 4 kids, it was pretty easy to, go to the racetrack. It's easy. It's cheap, fun.
Yeah.
And my uncles were into it too. And so it was us and our cousins. And so we were around racing a lot and just race fans, dirt track to road course stuff.
It's amazing watching, same thing what you're saying, like around the track. My dad, it was just funny. Like there was one period of time I just came home because he was always into bicycle racing. Like he was in Tour de France and all that stuff. And he used to race. I just remember one day I came home and I just hear, wah, 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 wah. And I remember walking in the living room. I'm like, what are you watching? He's like, watching NASCAR. And I'm like, Dad, you don't like NASCAR? He goes, yeah, I do. And I just remember watching it for the first time with him and just being in awe. Like I'd heard about it and understood it, but just understanding how the race was, how many laps it was. Yeah. What was the difference like for you of I went to it and I was sitting in the stadium, sitting in the stands, to what was the experience like for the first time standing down there on the ground level floor, like waiting to change your first car?
That was one of that could be used as one of those ordinary moments that was, that felt exceptional or whatever the question was. And so it's like to be on the other side was like, whoa, you had to take a minute and pause.
Yeah.
But you can't get caught up in it because you got a job to do.
Right.
Yeah.
You got stuff to do. And then when you're actually doing a pit stop, there's a lot going on. There's cars coming by at 55 miles an hour. There's the guy you're running around the front or back of the car, and there's the guy coming in behind you or coming in front of you.
Yeah.
Into the pit stall in front of you, and you might get hit. you know?
Don't break rule number 1.
Yeah.
You know what rule number 1 is?
Don't get dead.
Don't get hit.
Dang, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So you did NASCAR. How many years did you do?
6 years.
6 years.
Yeah, 6 years. So I met Ashley, my now wife, and that changed kind of how racing felt and my attitude towards the future. I knew that racing may not be a forever thing. And so I knew that, one, I was tired of traveling because I wanted to be home and hanging out with Ashley and having fun and camping and hiking and, you know, doing what we do for fun. And I was gone every weekend.
Yeah.
And I knew that long term, that wasn't a plan to support a family. Though many people do it, it can turn bad real quick if a team just shuts down.
Yeah.
It's not like HVAC where there's thousands of companies in every single state, you know. There's only a handful of teams, and that means a handful of jobs.
Right.
And those skills don't transition a whole lot to something else.
Yeah.
You know, you can't go and be an expert mechanic at the Ford dealership after you've been in racing.
It's different.
It's totally different. Yeah. So you got to start back at the bottom, and I would see people do that. And so I kind of started to look to transition out of racing. And my roommate at the time, who we shared a house, a bunch of guys in racing, it's just a bachelor pad, you know, and I was ready to get away from that as well. And my roommate at the time knew a guy that was a salesman at Morris-Jenkins, and they had started the Rising Stars program, which is what Tech Builder was, you know, when Rob went through it. And he had talked about the opportunity. He was trying to get my roommate to go and do it. And my roommate's like, man, I'm staying in racing, but I know someone that might be interested.
Yeah.
And so I applied for the job, and I interviewed at the old building, and they said, yeah, let's do it. And they said that, you know, we'll have you in whatever it was, March.
Yeah.
And then they called like in February and said, hey, the Rising Star program isn't working out like we thought it was. I don't know what that says about your class.
We shut that trash down.
Yeah,
We're never doing this again.
Yeah, but they said, it's not working out like we thought it was. We're not going to do it. And I was like, man, I was really excited to do this. And so I started to look into other jobs back in construction because that was kind of what I knew other than it. And I was getting ready to take a job driving heavy equipment at a power plant that was being built in Columbia. And the trainer at the time at Morris-Jenkins called me, and he said, we promised a CSR, and this speaks a lot to Morris-Jenkins. He said, we promised a CSR for a year that he was going to be in the next class, and now we canceled the class. And he asked if we would still teach him. He really wanted, he's been waiting for this. And they said, okay, we'll do a class of 1. And the trainer said, well, if I can do 1, will you guys let me do 2? And I want to bring Brett in.
Cool.
And he called me. And I was on my way to take a drug test for the construction company. Yeah. And Cookie at the old building called me and said, hey, we're going to make you an offer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's awesome.
That's fate right there.
It was wild.
You still want me to take this drug test? I can just transfer it over.
Yeah.
Dang. Yeah, the Tech Builder class back then, I remember, what year was that? I can't remember.
11.
Okay, so I started in 10, so apparently we jacked some stuff up. Man, our first class, it was me and one other fella. It was just us two. And I remember we both got hired, and he was a different fella. And I remember going through the class with the trainer, and the class was just so different from how it is today. I mean, it's what you're doing. I know we'll talk about it later, but what you're doing in the class and what we got in there was just completely different. And I mean, a lot of it was just like, hey, we have 3 pieces of equipment in the building, which was different. Like, you didn't see companies that had equipment that you train on in the building. That was very different. You don't see that. And I remember coming in and learning, but then later on it was like, all right, go ride with this guy, ask him questions. I remember ride-alongs, like I should have known how to change a capacitor, and dude just hands me a tool. He's like, hey, go check it, and if it's bad, we're going to change it. And I was like, sweet. I was so pumped, and I like pulled the door off, and I looked at him like, I have no idea what I'm doing right now. Probably didn't even turn the power off. But yeah, it's actually funny even that the classes were so small and that you were in probably class 2 or maybe 3.
Yeah, 2 or 3, somewhere around there.
Wow.
Yeah.
And about how long was it? Was it?
I don't even remember because it wasn't like you said, it wasn't like it is now. It was like my first day, you guys know what our first day looks like now, and it's so different.
Yeah.
My first day was, hey, we're going to run you out to a call and you're just going to hop in a van with the tech that's already out on the job.
Yep.
And it was, I think we had a handful of class days, but it was just mostly, working on the job and then come in and get some theory from the trainer and then, all right, go back out and do it,
Yeah. And then, so you got hands-on for a while, and then you were a Priority Advantage technician.
Yep.
And about how long did you do that before you went to COD?
Yeah, so I was a Priority Advantage tech for 2 years, roughly 2 years, and then got moved up to COD, which was a big shock to me. As a Priority Advantage tech, I did pretty well, and my customers loved me, and everything was great. I didn't run into a lot of problems. I'm a technical person. It came to me pretty easy. And prior to this job, I've never had a job in customer service. So I didn't know how to interact with a customer, but I knew how to fix things. Yeah. And I've always been the fix-it guy. As a kid, I'd just tear stuff apart and get in trouble. My dad would come home and all his tools would be out in the garage. Something's cut up. Yeah. Something's cut up. Something's torn apart.
Yeah.
And so that was the easy part. And that's what I fell in love with initially as like a PA tech was the fixing it. And then I become a COD tech. And I realized that as a PA tech, your customers love seeing you. As a COD tech, they're upset. They're in a bad mood.
Yeah.
They didn't sleep well last night and the baby was crying and the husband got snappy with the wife before he left for work because neither of them slept all night because there was no air. And now you're showing up and they know it's going to cost them some amount of money, to get it fixed. And maybe it's coming out of their Disneyland fund. Who knows, And I remember Mr. Jenkins telling us one time in a meeting, he used to say this, you have to fix the customer before you can fix the equipment.
Right.
And that was like shocking. So I struggled, I think, a little bit when I first went to COD, finding that balance.
Where did you find, so I know that, what we always ask everybody, like what they wanted to talk about, and you wanted to talk about being a good servant. Where did that first show up for you to where the passion for that continued to build?
Yeah, so I would say, I don't know, maybe in the last 5 to 6, 7 years, maybe since I've been back, doing the traveling, teaching. I think initially as I was, and this is maybe for most people, you come into a new job, new career, when you're young too, you're chasing accolades. You're chasing the top spot. You're chasing the lowest callback rate. You're chasing these accolades and promotions and doing the right thing. But then at some point that fire burns out. It's just going to, right? That kind of goes back to what's your why. Eventually you have to fall back on something. And what I realized was that the fire for those accolades can burn out over time. So then why do you want to do a good job? Why do you want to take your time on the call and make sure there's not a callback? And I realized that, as techs, it dawned on me that as techs, it's easy to get lost in the job. And we forget that we're getting the opportunity to serve our community. And it really hit me as a trainer, not as a tech. Because I was, again, still chasing those accolades and high performance as a tech. When I became a trainer, I started to realize, it dawned on me that, these guys and gals that are in Tech Builder, they took the way that they feed their family and they put it all on the line and said, put that to the side. I'm going to risk feeding my family to go start this new career. And it fell on my shoulders to make sure that they would be successful at it. And that's when I was like, wow, it's not about accolades. It's not about performance. It's about making sure that the people are taken care of, serving them in the best way possible.
It's a lot of pressure.
That is.
It is. Yeah. When you think about it like that, you know,
Yeah.
when you actually think about it, and I strive to try to keep that front of mind when I'm training.
We ask that question. I know Shallon asked that question in orientation. I think she always asks the question, how many of you are making a career change? And it is most of the time, at least 75% percent or more of the room. So, kind of going back to what you like, people are, they're taking a chance on us and taking a chance on this new path. And I think it's like to kind of decide then, why is this? What is your why for doing this? Because if we can kind of get that instilled in them from the beginning, then maybe that feels a little bit different.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, I respect them for taking that chance. And that's a weight that we have to carry, as trainers, but we have to make sure that we fulfill that we take it as serious as they do.
Yeah. And you took the same weight on your shoulders, even back then, of like, I'm starting a new career here, even, even starting off from scratch. Like, I don't know anything about anything. I'm willing to jump in. And I mean, you did well for yourself as a technician. And even prior to you switching over to do training, because you went from COD for a couple of years and then you switched to
I guess we
supervisor for a little bit. Yeah.
So I became a PA supervisor. At that time, our supervisors were split. Jonathan was the PA manager, and he hired me to be a PA supervisor. And I did that for a year and then became a COD supervisor. And I always just kind of helped out with our trainer at the time that we had. I was just, he and I were very tight. We talked all the time. And I would kind of help out when he needed an extra hand. And then, as you guys know, just one day he up and left, and there was still a couple weeks of a class that had to be completed. And we'd already committed to a whole nother round of students for another class. And, we in Morris-Jenkins, we don't let those commitments down. And, that's honorable. Like the guy that they said, hey, you're a CSR, you've been waiting, we're going to make it happen.
Right.
We had to make it happen for these guys. And me being the closest at the time to the trainer, it was kind of like, and a supervisor, it's like, hey, Brett, you and the other supervisors, y'all are going to have to split this up some way and let's figure out how to do this. And I enjoyed the training when I had those opportunities as a supervisor or as a tech. I loved having riders riding with me throughout the day, and I would hit them hard with questions, and drill them the whole time. They loved riding with me, and the other supervisors would say that.
Yeah.
Because I felt like if they were going to spend the time to sit in my truck, they were going to leave with more than they came with.
Yeah. And they're so eager.
They are. It's so fun to teach those people.
Yes, they're so eager when they start out in Tech Builder and they're going on ride-alongs. It's just like, they soak up everything.
Yeah.
They ask questions, they're in it, they're watching, it's the perfect time to pour into them because they want everything that they can get from anybody really around them.
Yep. They're excited, enthusiastic about learning.
I know you probably there's probably some statements that you make to the new Tech Builder classes when you're starting. Maybe there's some words of wisdom you give classes in the middle. I know you do. And then there's some stuff that you probably tell them at the end of class. Like, if we can go back to the beginning, what's some of the stuff that you tell our current tech builders that maybe some technicians that are out there that are just hitting the field? What's some of that stuff that you tell them to kind of prepare them, and some thoughts that they might need to take out there?
Yeah, like for new technicians when they get out, in Tech Builder, I tell them trust the process. Trust the process. If you do what we say, and this came from Mr. Jenkins, we can't make you technicians. What we can do is provide an opportunity. And if you will take that opportunity and trust the process, then you will be a technician. But I can't do it for you. And I tell them that, your life is a reflection of the actions that you did or did not take. That's what I tell them on the first day. And it doesn't matter what you did before this or where you came from. And those actions are actions like, I can't play softball tonight. We have a test tomorrow. Those actions are, I can't go to the beach this weekend. We have a quiz on Monday, or I have a ride along on Monday.
Right.
And then throughout class, you can see them, they're working hard and they start to get defeated, because it's long. It's long. It's a lot of work. It's long hours of studying after work. We don't work real long days, but it's a lot of information crammed in.
Yeah.
And I just remind them that, hey, we're here for you. Let us know where we can help, and that I promise you guys can do this. And we're, I would say being a high D, I would say at times I'm a little tough on them. I like to think of myself less as a teacher and more of a coach. It's like that football coach that you had. It's like that guy could tell you anything. And you'd be like, he could yell at you, scream at you, and he would walk away and you would think, man, I still want to please him so bad.
He's such a jerk, but I freaking love him.
I love him, you know, because he was honest with you, and people respect that. And I tell them often at the end of class that it's hard to see the picture when you're in the frame. I know when you're in when they're going through it, it's tough, but I know what that picture will look like when it's done. And I'm trying to get them to that point. And that picture looks like a great company, a great career, a great skill, and an opportunity to get out and serve the community.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's because that's one thing that I have absolutely recognized about being here is like, technology will change and, that kind of, but people are always going to want to live in a cool home, or a warm house. Like the technology that we will use to provide that will likely change as time goes on, but there will always be a need. And I'm sure when they're in the throes of it, it's hard to recognize I'm building the skills that will help me be able to feed my family and have a career for the long haul. I'm in the thick of it. It's hard to get your head above the trees, I think.
Yeah. And I think one thing I would tell, new technicians and really new employees at MJ period is we're so different than anywhere you've ever worked. You can make a mistake here. It's okay. We understand. We know that. We just ask that you learn from that mistake. Let's reflect on it. Let's see what we did wrong. Let's learn from it and let's move forward. You can call your boss and say, man, I'm having a total brain fart today. How do I do this again? And you don't get fired for it. Where I think a lot of places, that level of comfort is not there.
Yeah.
Oh, it's different. I've talked to, I'm sure you have two other texts. Like I called my buddy for an answer and he's like, you're stupid. I can't believe it clicked. Or they won't tell you because it's more competitive. It's like, I can't call anybody to ask, which unfortunately there's a lot of companies, large companies here. We have texts come in from other companies and they get here and they're like, I couldn't ask anybody any of these questions for fear of getting fired, made fun of. I'm not going to help you. And it's just like, I just had to figure it out on my own. And they get in a tough spot. So here it's like, dude, I don't know how to do that. And they're like surprised that they even admitted it. But you feel that that good support system from the entire company, top down. Everybody's willing to help. I hear that all the time.
Yeah. And that's what I would tell new techs. If you don't know something, just call somebody.
I think you say it's like,
trouble.
I know you don't know.
Yeah, I know you don't know.
Yeah.
Call
me if you're not calling. There's a problem.
Yeah. You're not going to surprise us with anything you say. We've heard it before.
Yes.
We've been asked it before, know.
Oh my gosh. I remember when I was a supervisor, I know you've got this call too. And I was racking my brain. I'm like, I have no idea. He's like, I'm trying to put a self-tapper into this panel. And he's like, he's trying to put a strap on a capacitor. And so he's like, and he's like, the screw won't go into the metal. It's just not chewing in. And I'm like, are you sure you're using a self-tapper? He goes, I absolutely am. And he goes, I've been working on this thing for 10, 15 minutes. I can't get it in. And I'm like, have you tried a new screw? Maybe that one's just messed up. He goes, I've been through 20. And I'm like, okay. What kind of metal are you using? The regular strap. And I'm asking him all these questions and I'm like, is it going the right way? And he's like, what do you mean? And I'm like, are you going in versus like reverse? And he's like, I am so stupid. And I'm like, that's all right, man. It happens to all of us. And I get off the phone. I was like, oh, wow. Like there's some things that it's just like, I would have never guessed that. But some things are really simple. But then you get those hard phone calls where it's legit huge problem solving. And what you're teaching them in there is just so, so vital. I don't know how many times I've had Randy stand in the Priority Advantage meeting and we'll call out even some of our tech builders that he's just like, the questions that you guys, or the answers that y'all bring to the table when you call, like, I've checked this, I've checked this, I've checked this, I've checked this. And they wouldn't have been able to do that if you hadn't taught them all that stuff. So it's cool seeing what you're teaching them translate to even them calling a supervisor, and he's like, the one thing you haven't checked or one thing you haven't seen just because you don't have enough experience yet is this, and now you know it. And that's knowledge that you'll always have forever.
Yeah.
It's cool what you're doing, man. You're changing lives.
I love it. And I'm sure we'll get into it, at some point, but this is kind of the end of my time at MJ. But if it wasn't so far to fly, I would never leave here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The mosquitoes is what it is.
Mosquito. Blame it on the daggone mosquitoes.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't think I know this time period of you took over the trainer spot and you took over the tech builder. And then, I guess now that I know that you moved from California to North Carolina, the transition from North Carolina back to Idaho doesn't seem so shocking
so weird
any longer. So how did that come about?
Yeah, so Ashley and I got married in 2016, and we're at the time she had just got out of college, getting her graduate degree, and so she was kind of finding a place. I was, at MJ, and I'd found my place, and then the talks of family and what's the future look like, where do we want to buy a home, and we start looking into that, and we had already taken a trip to Colorado. And I remember we flew out of Denver, and I remember me being sad, and if I remember this correctly, even tear welling up in Ashley's eyes because we loved it so much. We took a ski trip, and that was 2 or 3 years prior. But I had told Ashley, we had kind of talked about a family and kids, and we decided that we weren't going to have kids, and so we didn't have to be in a certain neighborhood or a certain school system or right next to grandparents that could help with daycare. So we had the opportunity to say, before we buy a house in North or South Carolina, is there anywhere else in the country that we might be happier? Mm-hmm. We'd already been to Denver. We loved the Rocky Mountains in the West. It was kind of my idea, I guess, to begin with, because as I said, from being a kid, my dream was to live in the Rocky Mountains and to hunt and fish in the Rocky Mountains and to be able to ski and do all the fun stuff that we do now.
Yeah.
And so we said, well, let's go look around. And I remember coming to Jonathan and telling him, hey, because at the time I'm the trainer, we got in the new building. I was in what's now Shallon's office. We had this amazing lab. It wasn't even complete yet. And then I'm like, but now I may be leaving.
Yeah.
And he took it great as you would expect, And so we went and spent a week in Salt Lake City and a week in Boise. Mm-hmm. And I'd had job interviews lined up at each place. And we went to Salt Lake City first. And I remember we flew in real late, and we get up the next morning. I go to a job interview. It's still half dark. Ashley picks me up and she says, this place is amazing. We're moving here. We'd only been there 8 hours.
That's what she said?
That's what she said.
Okay.
She said, this place is amazing. We're moving here. She had been driving around town while I was in this job interview. And we're in Salt Lake, and we spent the week there. The dog got chased by a mountain lion.
Oh, nice. She's like, we're moving here. This is it for us.
Yeah. So we were like, this place is awesome. It had everything we wanted. But then we said, well, I'm like, we got to go to Idaho now. We got to go to Boise's 5-hour drive. And she said, I really don't want to. It's like, well, can't we just cancel it and stay? I'm like, no, I got interviews lined up, and we got an Airbnb. We pull in, and it was one of the worst winters that they had in Idaho in, 50, 60 years. They called it Snowmageddon year.
Oh, boy.
Yep. And so we pull in, and it's dark and gloomy and snowing, and I'm changing into my interview clothes at a rest stop on the highway, and it's snowing, I'm in a suit, and we pull in, and the place where I interviewed was in the industrial part of town. And so it's not the picturesque.
Right.
And it's dark and gloomy and snowing. And I go in the interview. She picks me up afterwards. She says, we're not moving to Salt Lake City. We're moving here. The skies had parted, fresh snow on the mountains outside of downtown, just green hills had started. The green up had started that spring, and it was just beautiful.
Wow.
It was like Salt Lake, but really small.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then we said, well, what we said to each other was, maybe we don't stay there forever, but we can't live with not giving it a try.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Man.
Wow. I do remember spending time, hiking and camping with you, but you'd always talked about hiking the 14ers and talked about going out west. And I mean, we had good times doing all that stuff, but it's funny. Like some people, it's like, this is my hobby. This is what I enjoy doing. And I'll find 1, 2, maybe if I'm lucky, 3 moments throughout the year that I can go and enjoy it. And then the rest of the time, it's just like work. And what you guys have done is taken a dream, something that you had since you were a kid, and just making it reality. It's like, we're going to do this.
Yeah. I think that's so awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, I think it's, maybe this goes to your high D personality. I don't know, but it's just like,
just do it.
Just do it.
Just do it.
I mean, it's like we only have this one life to live. Like I've always wanted to live in the Rockies. Why can't we live here? I mean, I think so many times we hold ourselves back by thinking, why would we move to Idaho? That seems crazy. And maybe it feels a little crazy, but it's also just like, this is what we want. So why wouldn't we just go for it?
Yeah. My motto is in the way that I try to live my life is, at the end of it, I want to be able to, on that last day, laying in a hospital bed, hopefully not, maybe it's just on the side of a mountain somewhere.
Because he don't take no prescriptions. He's good.
And what I want to say to myself is that I lived my life exactly how I wanted to.
Yeah.
Not how I felt society thought I should live my life or how family thought that I should live my life, but that we lived our lives exactly how we wanted to. And I think that's so important for everybody.
Yeah.
Whether that is you want to have kids and live near your grandparents and that means a lot to you, or you want to be an athlete or in racing, or maybe that means you want to be a surf bum. I have a lot of respect for those people that are just like, this is me. This is how I want to live my life. And I don't care what society says or how people look at me. I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And I think that's the most important thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So how did there was a time period where you weren't with us, right?
Yes.
And then we started the Tech Builder with Brett as we know it today.
Yeah.
The flying in, the flying out, which still to me to this day 100% blows my mind. Like I even think too, when we say it to Tech Builder, we're like, Brett will be here. He'll be making his commute from Idaho. And they're just like, what?
Your world-class trainer will be flying in from out of state to train you, is what we're saying.
Yes, out of this time zone.
Yeah.
So how did all of that come about?
Yeah. So I left MJ. We moved to Idaho and I took a job for Nexstar, a training organization. And I worked for Nexstar for about 1.5 years. And I was building what was like an online tech builder that Nexstar would give to their members eventually. And it was a remote job. When I look back, I didn't see this at the time. I knew I just wasn't happy, but I didn't see this at the time. Why? But Ashley could tell you why. She could have told you then why. It was a remote job, work from home job. I'm not the work from home type. That's what I've learned. I'll go dig ditches and pound fence posts before I work from home ever again.
Noted.
Yeah. It was, I would get in my car and just drive 30 minutes down the river, turn around 30 minutes back. That was my lunch hour. I couldn't be in the house after work. Just this cabin fever, you know. Felt like I wasn't accomplishing anything. And I did the whole, get out of your pajamas, get dressed up, you know. It didn't make a difference.
I've got to get out of this
I was got to go move.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I think, if you think about it, what you had done prior to that, not only just the hands-on piece, but then also, being here just like it is now, you're surrounded by other people.
Yep.
Like you're going into customers' homes and you're taking care of customers and you have, relationships with the people that you work with. And for that to just be like, that stopped and this started, I could see how that's kind of a shock, a shock to the system.
I did not expect that shock.
Yeah.
And it was a shock for sure. So I hadn't even reached out to MJ. That wasn't even, no one's ever done something like this, I don't think. I never would have thought. But Jonathan called. He would occasionally call or text me, check in. How's everything going at Nexstar? And he had called and said the trainer that was here was leaving, or he had already quit. And Jonathan was like, before I go look for another trainer, have you ever considered we do this thing where you come in, teach, go home? We'll get you home on the weekends, but you come in and just teach, and that'll be what you do, and that's it. I was like, that sounds crazy.
To be honest.
Yeah, that sounds wild, but I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
He's like, well, let's talk more about it. And so we did, and it's like, well, let's give it. Neither of us knew. I don't think anybody knew what it would turn into, but it was like, well, let's give it a shot. It's like, let's see how it works for a year or two. Surely I can fly back and forth Mondays and Fridays for a year or two.
Yeah.
And now here we are 7 years later.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
You flying in and flying out, I'm like, oh man, that's definitely challenging to be taxing, but man, you've made a massive impact around here, man.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank
you.
I do think that is one thing I appreciate about Morris-Jenkins too, is like, let's throw an idea out on the table.
Yeah.
I mean, it might seem crazy to fly the trainer in from Idaho on Mondays and Fridays. Yeah. I mean, it sounds nuts, but let's
do it. It's a good thing he's nuts.
Yeah. It's like, so we know we have a good person. We know we have the right person. It's been the right person. Like, let's just throw this out here and see if it sticks. Like, I think that's another thing. I think that it's one thing I enjoy about being here is like, this seems a little harebrained, but I think we might give it a shot.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, here we are 7 years later, which is just crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also crazy. I can certainly see from your standpoint how that is difficult. You know, I mean, as much as obviously we try to accommodate that the best, I mean, you're still flying in and out from Idaho for weeks at a time.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, there's no good way. It's Idaho. Most people can't even put it on a map, you know, can't point to it on a map. So there's no direct flights. It's hard. And that's what everybody says. Everyone's like, man, I can't believe you do it. I don't know how you do it. And for a long time, I thought, man, it is so hard. And it is. It's tough. It's taxing. And then Ashley took a job at one point where she traveled to this conference in the summer. And it was when I was home. And I realized that it's not hard on me traveling for work. It's hard on her for being at home. Mm-hmm. She's the real champion of this. Mm-hmm. I'm gone for 8 weeks, Monday through Friday, you know, and so then she goes on this trip for a week and I'm 2 days in and I'm like, man, who's going to take care of these dogs?
It's quiet around here.
Yeah, I need a second hand around here.
Yeah.
I want to go fly fishing. I got to feed the dogs and let them back out, or, you know, like, and it dawned on me, you know, how much of that work she's been carrying on that end.
How's she feel about you being back home?
Oh, she's excited.
Yeah.
Yeah. I bet. Yeah.
You'll have something planned, like, hey, I'm coming back, and this is what we're going to do to celebrate this.
No, it's going to be, we're going right into elk season. And that's
celebrate. That's what I'm talking about. That's how you
my
celebrate.
Time. Yeah. Depending on how the season goes, we may celebrate, or I may be in a bad mood for a little while.
So you have to tell this story. So if you haven't been hunting before, Brett likes to go hunting, and so for years, we know that Brett can't shoot, by the way, and so he's like, Rob, I need help. No, I'm just kidding. But Brett finally got him a rifle that he wanted to shoot, and then I remember you're like, I'm gonna go hunting. I'm gonna go goat hunting.
Sheep, Rocky Mountain
Bighorn. It's the same
sheep.
thing.
Yeah,
sheep.
It's about
goat.
the same thing. Yeah.
And so he's like, I'm gonna go sheep hunting, and then you told me, I'll let you tell the rest, but like you told me, you're like, I pulled from the lottery to be able to hunt this sheep. Yeah, and I'm like, y'all, I'm thinking about this daggum little sheep on a farm out here in North Carolina with the mosquitoes. I'm like, why do you need a pull attack for that? You can go hit somebody's farm right down the street. But then you went out on this adventure. So tell us about that.
Yeah. So in North America, I should say in the U.S., there's very small populations of these bighorn sheep. And it's extremely difficult to get a tag. They auction, each state in the West that has tags auctions one off every year to raise money for the Game and Fish Department, and they usually go for anywhere from $200,000 to $600,000 that rich people buy them up so they can do a sheep hunt. In Idaho, residents can apply for sheep tags, and it's a once in a lifetime thing. So if you draw it and you harvest a sheep, you can never do it again. Mm-hmm. And I drew a tag, and I just couldn't believe it because it's like a rich man's game. I was just a HVAC tag, the blue collar guy out here sheep hunting. Yeah. So I drew this tag, and man, I drug Ashley through so many scouting trips where I would fly home on a Friday and we would scout all weekend, backpack in, and then I'd turn around and fly back out on Sunday. and we scouted all summer. And so I went on a sheep hunt. And the first week, a buddy of mine went with me, and a fire came in. We got pushed out by the fire. He had left early, and then all of a sudden my satellite messenger device starts blowing up because the fire had jumped the highway and it was coming. And they're like, you need to get out of there. Him and Ashley both are texting me, you need to get out of there. And so I get out of there. Well, I come back in by myself later, and it's just the wildest experience.
How many weeks? Was it 3 weeks of scouting?
We scouted almost every weekend probably. We would go up and check this area and check this area and check this area. The hunt itself ended up being about 2 total weeks. I came in the second week up by myself and found some sheep, and it poured rain, just poured in. I did not have rain gear. And I had a raincoat and that's it. And I was soaking wet, and I'm like starting to shiver. Right? No, it's cold. I'm starting to shiver. It's October in Idaho.
Oh, yeah, forget that, which would basically be December in Canada at this point.
Yeah. I guess it was late September, but I'm at 9,500 feet, real high up. And so anyways, I go to bed that night with dry clothes on, and I get up the next morning. I'm like, I've got to go back and see where those sheep were. And my pants were frozen because they were wet. And I hung them outside. They would like stand up by themselves. So I put these, and I'm just like, why do I sign up for this? I can't believe I volunteered to do this.
Some people pay money to do this.
People pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to do this. My boots were soaking wet. I see every step you're hearing that. But I was lucky enough, found the rams. I was able to harvest a ram. And way back there, 7.5 miles back from the trailhead. And my camp was at like 5.5 miles back. Yeah. So I come back and I get back. I text Ashley on the device. I'm like, I'm going to get some meat out. I need a motel room in town. And then I need you to come up and help me get the rest of this out.
How many pounds was this bad boy?
Oh, I don't know, because you cut it up into pieces. Yeah. But I'd say, they average somewhere around 200 pounds, maybe 250 pounds.
Ashley, you're coming back in. You're going to get this other 100 pounds out of here.
Yeah. This honestly sounds like a TV show to me.
Yeah, it is wild when you think about it. It's from here, it's wild. Yeah.
Yeah, kind of like, obviously we know how I feel about this, but it's just like otherworldly. Yes. Like, it's just really crazy. Like, I feel like I could watch this happening on a TV show.
Yeah.
It's
him taking his pants and just like standing them up.
Frozen.
It's like, well, this is my day today. Yeah. This is gonna be sweet.
Yeah.
So the same thing. There's the sheep. There's elk.
Yep. Which is like a giant deer, right?
Yes.
Yep.
I think I've heard stories of having to go in and out to bring all the meat back in.
Yeah. So Ashley she likes being in the woods. We have 2 bird dogs. And so she loves bird hunting. She just takes pictures. She doesn't come elk hunting with me. She's like my pack mule. So, and she admits it. So after I get an elk down, because I'm hunting solo and an elk's 450 to 500 pounds. And so I cut it up into pieces and hang the meat up in the woods. And then you carry out 60 to 80 pound pieces at a time.
Yeah.
And so
just crazy.
You can only do, you're anywhere from like this past year, I was 3 miles in.
You have to seriously debate. It's like, all right, I'm going to carry 60 pounds right now, and I got to come back 10 trips. Maybe if I just put like 80 pounds, this is way less. But man, there's a big mountain there. Yeah. But then also you got to worry about, isn't there predatory animals out there too?
Yeah. There's so mountain lions, wolves, bears.
You had any encounters out there?
No, I called a wolf into a turkey decoy one time, which is kind of wild.
That's nice.
Yeah. But no, other than the encounter we had in Salt Lake City where the mountain lion was chasing the dog down. Mm-hmm. Other than that, we haven't had any real problems in Idaho. There's been lots of problems around us. We have neighbors that have had sheep killed by mountain lions and stuff, but not.
I mean, aside from our encounter out in the woods that one time, that was a little scary.
Yeah.
You know about that?
Yes. The thing that was on the top of the thing.
It's got to be an owl.
Screech owl or something. Yeah. Some sort of weird owl. Yeah. Yeah.
Y'all, I've been camping with this man a couple times, and there's many stories, but what was that? That was Linville Gorge.
Yep.
So we hike into Linville Gorge. We park at the top, walk down the mountain. It is just beautiful out there. It's just huge ravines all the way down the bottom, beautiful river at the bottom. And so we're making a wood burn bowl, which you just like cut a piece of wood, like a stump or something.
I forgot about that.
And then you put a coal in it and you blow on it and it'll burn out. And so you can make a bowl or a cup out of it. And so we're sitting there hanging out at the river base, and it's dark. It's just a fire. It's just me and Brett. We haven't really seen anybody since we've been down there. It's just us. And then at the top of the mountain, on the other side of the ravine, we just hear this horrible screech. And like, I've been camping plenty of times, but I was just like, I've never heard anything like this. It was just like this horrible screeching noise at the top of the mountain. And I'm like, the freak is that? And so it just calls one time. And so we're like looking around in the dark, and then, all right, so we keep on rolling with the bowl. And then next thing we know, it wasn't maybe 5 minutes later, now the thing screeches and it's on the other side of the ravine on the river, on the other side. And I'm like, for any animal to come from there to there in that short amount of time, I'm like, we're about to die. And so we keep on, we hear the noise and we're like looking around. It doesn't do it again. So we're like, keep on blowing the ball. Then next thing you know, it's on the other side of the river behind us. And he's like, Rob, get your gun. I'm like, it's already in my hand. Like, I ain't dying in the woods. I've seen this movie far too many times. I ain't making it out.
It sounded like a 6-year-old girl screaming bloody murder.
Oh my gosh. But it did it 3 times. And then like, of course it was gone. But I'm like, I was like, I have no idea what that is. But
yeah.
Those are the fun adventures that you can have out in the woods, Mary. Don't you want to go?
With Brett.
No. We were not. It was not Naked and Afraid for that one. Thank goodness. I wouldn't go camping with Brett. He did try to coerce me one time. I said no. Okay, so going back to the training piece. So you've been doing this for a hot minute now, and I know for you there was that transitionary period. So you went from being a tech, and you were doing your thing. You moved over into the training piece, and then this idea of like serving others, like it does translate to the HVAC side as like a technician. I'm serving my customers. I'm helping them. I'm truly here to help you get whatever that goal is you want. But the idea of servanthood, how does that look different, and what made you passionate about that as you stepped into the training role?
Yeah, like I said, I've realized, one, how much people were putting on the line for us. Mm-hmm. And then us became, well, I'm the one that's got to make it happen because I'm with them for 8 weeks. You know, don't get me wrong. They ride along with other techs. They work with you, but the technical portion kind of fell on me, and it just, like I said, dawned on me how much they were putting on the line and how much I had to bring to the table. Mm-hmm. And then I started to think back about my time as a tech. And think about when I ran calls, and if I could run calls again, would I used to run calls as a way to get through the call, fix the equipment. You're thinking about the equipment, you're fixing the problem. You're seeing the HVAC problem, not realizing that I was actually how much I was helping those customers, and that became when I became a COD. And I tell the tech builders this now. Or the PA techs, if you're getting to the end of what you think is your PA tech career and you're getting ready to go to COD and you're like, well, maybe I don't like this, go to COD first. Mm-hmm. Because it's a totally different world. Yeah. And I realized that it feels amazing at the end of the day, you get to walk out of the house with a cape on.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. There's nothing like rolling in a hot house and finding the problem, seeing the scenario, the dynamic of what's happening here, and being able to be that hero for the day.
Yeah. I think a lot of times it's when you're a technician, that's your life. You're going from call to call to call, solving problem after problem after problem. And it's easy to lose sight of the fact that like the customer only saw you come in and solve their problem. Yep. I think it's for a technician, that's what our technicians do. They go from home to home to home, solve problem after problem after problem. But to the customer, that doesn't even, because I haven't been a technician, obviously, but I have been a customer. Yep. And so it feels like the everyday to a technician, but to the customer that you came in and solved their problem, it doesn't feel every day. Mm-hmm. It feels like man, this sucks. And boy, am I glad that this person showed up that knew what to do and got us back up and running. Because I feel like your air and your heat are kind of those things like you don't realize how much you love them and you need them until they don't work anymore.
Oh, yeah.
And then for real, it's like wearing a cape and coming in. And I think that can get lost in the day-to-day of the work because it just is the day-to-day of the work.
I've heard Rob say in service system training that, this might be your 5th call today, maybe your 25th call this week. It might be your customer's 1 call this year.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what you're getting at,
Yep.
It's their one time that they get to see you and your opportunity to serve them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's definitely an eye-opening opportunity, and it's challenging. I'm sure it's even challenging for you when you are on week 8 or 9 of coming in and helping these guys and these gals learn the trade. I'm sure it's probably challenging for you to stay motivated and in the zone. How do you find where you can reconnect and keep on driving forward all the way to the end when you're tired like that?
I think about exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah.
And that's where, that's why it's grown, that idea has grown so much more for me as a trainer, and then trying to implement or trying to put that idea into the techs as well, is that they're counting on me. And what I see is they're counting on me for only 2 more weeks and I get to go home, but I know that they still have several more weeks. And so I'm like, I know that I can stick it out for 2 more weeks and give them everything I got for 2 more weeks.
Yeah.
And then I get a break. I'm fortunate. I get a break, right? They don't. They have to continue on.
It's funny that the 3 of us do training. So I want to ask you this, what your vantage point is on this. Techs and installers have a challenging job. It's taxing physically. You're out in a hot attic. You're under a crawl space. You're having to navigate the throes of a customer. How challenging is it to train?
I just told Shallon this. I said, if you're in the audience and you see a good trainer, makes it look easy. In the audience, people always think, people that was as trainers, we're all trainers. You've probably maybe heard people say, I could train. Training's easy. It's just getting up there and talking. It's easy because it has been so hard for us for so long, and we've been doing it and pounding it out. And I think that over time, it just gets better, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that if you do your job right, it looks easy, but it's difficult. It's difficult.
Yeah.
You are on. So I teach Tech Builder, right? So you are, as a tech, you're on for the 10 minutes you're in front of the customer, the 30 minutes you're at the unit, the 20 minutes you're at the customer wrapping up, if you're doing a no EC call or something. But as a trainer, if you're teaching a full day class or 3 days, you're on for 6 hours.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a long day.
Yeah.
That's the taxing part.
That's a long day.
Don't get me wrong. It's not crawling through 140-degree attics.
Sure.
It's a different kind of taxing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's turn the radio off on the drive home taxing.
That's right.
I need to sit in silence for a little while.
Yes, I need nothing.
I love when I come home and then it's a blessing. But at the same time, I'm just like, all right, I need to sit out in my car. I might park down the street for 10 minutes before I walk in the house. Because it's a blessing to see your kids, your wife, your family, your dogs when you go home. But it's like you also get the daily download of what happens during the day. And it's just like, hold on, I just need like 5 minutes. You just give me like 5 minutes. I'll be ready to hear all this. But it's the same thing being a teacher. It's like you are on all day and you're on all school year constantly with the kids, dealing with the challenges of the classroom, the curriculum. I mean, I know the parent side is really easy, but like the curriculum is the hard part. Y'all see these laser eyes.
I am telling. Sometimes I look back now. Once again, so thankful that my life has led me here. Sometimes I look back on it now, and I'm not sure how I did it. Mm-hmm. I mean, I was much younger then, but it's a lot. I mean, it's a lot, and not to mention the fact that your students are 8. That adds a whole nother level of kind of craziness to the whole situation. Yeah. I have a question for you about the servant. In a perfect world, what would that look like to you? Like, where as technicians, we came from a place of servanthood and serving the community. What does that look like?
Yeah. So to me, that looks like you show up at the call with no going in story, no prejudgment of the call. And that as a technician, you are working towards not a certain outcome of the call. Like, you're not invested in the performance, your performance on the call, or what the outcome is, that you are invested in creating the best repair options possible for that customer's and that system's wants and needs. Mm-hmm. Right? You're not focused on what you want to get out of the call, but you're focused on what is going to help that customer the best, and what they decide to do and how they decide to spend their money. And, if there's repair options, what option they go with is up to them. Your job is to make sure that those options are exactly what they need or their system needs or what they want.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's challenging knowing that on the call, you have the experience, you have the ability to solve someone's problem, and then it's like,
yeah,
I'm good, man. Like, I'll just think about it, or I'll call you back. And it's like, man, if you don't fix this, this is what's going to turn into. And it's hard. It definitely is hard and challenging as a technician to know that I can absolutely help you and save you so much time and energy and heartbreak if we do this, but also recognizing that it is their choice. And if you've done everything you could possibly do, and you're being a servant, you rolled out the red carpet and you build value, and they want to think about it, that's absolutely fine too. Yeah. It's their choice. It's their prerogative, even if you want to help.
Yep.
I think that's the weight that we all carry. And it's the same thing that you try to instill in them all the time. It's like, hey, this is what the outcome may look like, but if you do your job, you can go home and rest your head peacefully. What you can't do is force or use your agenda on a call. Yeah. That's absolutely not the path to go.
Yeah.
Do you think that the two things can coexist? Like like we talked about a little bit about the ambition towards like big goals or
accolades.
Yeah, whatever
high
the
performance.
Case. Yeah. Do you think that the two things can coexist? I guess is the best way to say
I think absolutely. Mm-hmm. I think that the way that they should and would coexist is, I think that the serving comes first, and the accolades and the performance is the result of being good at the first one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think that otherwise the accolades and the performance, you become what I refer to as a shooting star. You burn real bright for a little bit, and then all of a sudden you're gone. Either the industry's not for you, or you go work somewhere else, or whatever the case may be. You don't like it anymore, because I think, again, as I've realized, that fire for that eventually burns out, and you've got to have something else, your why, right?
Yeah.
And I think that serving is always there. Because I think what we often forget is, that person that we're fixing their air conditioner, though you don't know them, they might be standing next to you at Harris Teeter tomorrow. Or they might be working at the company that your wife takes a new job next year, and you see them at the Christmas party. You never know. We get to serve our community, and we do it with HVAC. Mm-hmm. And I think that, absolutely, they can coexist.
Yeah.
I think one's a result of the other.
Yeah.
Do you think that or what would you say is the maybe 2 or 3 things as a technician, how I know I'm serving my customer every time I show up to the house? What would those 2 or 3 things actually look like to them while they're there on the call?
One I already talked about right there, that you're striving to build the best repair options possible for the customer and the system's wants and needs, not yours or just the systems, or
right.
just, it's both, right? That's one thing. The other one, I think, is, again, not prejudging the call, not making a decision because somebody has an old car in the driveway that, well, I'm not even going to offer this repair option. Not that our techs, this is common, but in the industry, this is common. Well, this house doesn't look like they can afford this, or they're probably not going to want to do that. So treating everybody with that same level of respect and showing everybody the options and giving them the same value. And then I think the third thing, probably the last thing, is from the technical side, is doing a good technical job, thorough technical job, like you would be at, say, your mother's house or your grandmother's house. I think it's important to think about, am I performing like a technician that I would even want in my grandmother's home?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when we think about what you're talking about right now, being that good servant and all these lessons that you've learned, treat it like it's your mama, your grandma's house, and, that servant mindset, that's been stuff that you've witnessed and experienced yourself, but it's a lot of those things like you've learned. You've learned through interactions with people here, through your customers, through your own life experience. Has there been people here at Morris-Jenkins, or which people here have had the biggest impact on you and your journey since all this time that you've been here?
Yeah. The David Smith, a lot of people listening to this may not remember him or remember when he was here, but David Smith, and Jonathan Bancroft.
Yeah.
Those two, when we were coming up as techs and Jonathan became a PA manager, Brandon Anderson, the way that you see calls.
Yeah.
But David Smith, a lot from David Smith.
Yeah. I saw a sticker, I think it was right around when, you probably have seen it in his office, in Alan's office now, but there was a sticker, I think it's a truck parts brand. It's called Smittybilt. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
I don't know who gave him that. I just walked past the office one time and it was on his desk or on something, or it was on the window. And I just laughed because I was like, there are so many people here at MJ that have been influenced and impacted by David Smith and what he's done, the stuff that he's poured in. How many times were you sitting in his office as a tech?
Oh, a lot.
It didn't just take one time.
I
I just always remember he used to be like, who cares, so what? You'd come in and talk to him about whatever. And he's like, who cares, so what? There's so many things that man has had an impact on people around here. Same thing with Jonathan. I remember sitting in Jonathan's office and I would come in and I'd sit down and I would pull out my old phone. We didn't have cameras or any of that stuff. Pull out my old phone and I'd hit record, and it's let's talk through how to talk about this repair, an evaporator coil. So it made sense to a customer, because I always felt, maybe you felt the same way, but I always felt like I carried a weight if I walked in the house and I knew how to fix it, but I did a terrible job of explaining it, that it would maybe influence them to say no. And then I left them in a hot house where they just did not trust me or understand, and they walked out. And David and Jonathan, they made a big impact to make sure things were absolutely clear. But it took time and time and time again to hear that stuff.
Yeah. I felt that weight too. I think that's an important thing to think about as a technician is, I think it's easy for technicians to think, oh, well, they're teaching us how to talk about these things so that we get more yeses. And that's not what it is. The weight that we carry as technicians, like you said, is that if I leave that home and that customer says no, and that $300 repair that I use technical jargon to explain that they didn't understand, they said no to, turns into $1,000 fan motor now. And still at the $300 repair.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And another night of no air.
A no air and a diagnostic fee.
Yeah. And another day of having to take off of work because somebody's got to come back out. I mean, it's there's a lot of responsibility in trying to communicate that, properly. I think David Smith, honestly, to me, is kind of a great example of this servanthood piece. He would stop everything he was doing. When somebody showed up at his door, it was, come on in, have a seat. But I think that's kind of exactly what we're talking about. I mean, people respected him. People, he had influence over people. And so I think when you come from a place of servanthood, and you come from a place of let me drop what I'm doing and let me help you, let me do what I can to support you. I think whether you're David Smith or a technician or whatever, just people, there's built-in respect in that. There's built-in, when you're at a customer's home, I think that they can pick up on that. Just like we could all pick up on it in David, and in lots of people here. I think there's a good majority of people here, if you ask them why they do what they do, it is to help others, to serve others, to support others. I think that sometimes, that's the thing, is if you put the servant piece first, then it's more likely that the customer or anybody else is going to respect or value what you have to say.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Man, he's had a big impact, and that idea of servanthood is you can see it and feel it permeate in this place. It's always there. It can be easy to get it flip-flopped, but if you keep that on the forefront, it'll take you far. Is there anything, I'm curious, how many years has it been? 2011 since you've been here, right?
Yes.
2011.
Yep.
If you could go back and do something again, or you could do anything again and change some things, what would that be?
I chase the accolades, and there's nothing wrong with that, but I think that you go farther chasing serving the community.
The right thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And that's how I would run my calls again.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did, kind of going back to what you were saying, I wonder if it takes some of the time, experience, not everyone's going to get to look at it from the trainer perspective like you have, but, I wonder if it kind of takes people a minute to get there. Time kind of has that ability to teach, teach us.
I feel like not everybody's ready to hear it.
Yeah.
I don't know about you or both of y'all, but I know when we talk in the service system, same thing in what you're teaching. It's like you give them so much information. It's like, I know that there's no way you're going to remember all this. So I'll say it again and again and again. You say it in meetings or they have follow-on training, but we talk about the hats. It's like you got to be a good consultant, safety expert, technician, and then revenue will come. But I always tell everybody, I'm like, it will absolutely never be the first thing you're going to talk about when you walk in a house. If you do the other things and you're a good servant, what we do, there is a cost that's associated with that. But if you walk in the other way, this is not that place. But even going back and just like, hey, just serve the community, serve your customer, everything. If you do it right, everything and more will come your way.
Yeah.
But not everybody's ready to hear that. And you have people that have just graduated high school or people that are in their 20s or 30s. And it's like, man, I'm going to get after this thing. I'm going to go for it. But what does it look like? What does it look like to go for it? And no matter what we say, it's like, if you are just there to help people, just help as many people get what they want, as Jim would say, old Jim Rohn, you can get what you want. If you just have that mindset, you will be just fine. But it is easy to lose sight of that because of what is not what Morris-Jenkins is saying, is what society says. You've got to chase after it. A friend of mine, Lo Myrick, she always talks about the hustle culture. And it was so popular for the longest time. I have a shirt that says hustle on the front of it. And it's funny because hustle culture has been so like in your face. It's like you got to hustle every day. You got to be on that grind, wake up at 4 a.m., work out, get after it, go do your job, get that money, whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like that is not sustainable, and that's not what it's about. If you go out there and it's hustling for servanthood and doing the right thing, everything you can think of in this world will fall on your plate. But people think you have to scrape for it and go for it all the time, and then we'll worry about the other things later. And it's like, that is not how that works. That's not how the world is meant to work. So I think what you're teaching with that legacy that you're leaving behind here, you've picked it up from these people, these legends that have been here, and then in your own right, you've become one yourself. So it's really cool that you're able to pass those things along and have an impact here, man.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I think that as a tech, it's more fulfilling your job because we do hard work as technicians. And I've recently got another taste of this. And we do hard work. And at the end of the day, it's more fulfilling when you've put that first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's more fulfilling. That's what I love about residential is that, and I didn't initially love this, but it's the thing that I've fallen in love with, is that there's other avenues of HVAC, but an ice machine that you fixed at QT is never going to be crying, shaking your hand, thank you so much for coming out here tonight and fixing my unit.
Right.
And that's what makes you feel good at the end of the day, you know?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, there's a lot of good that comes from that. Makes you feel warm and fuzzy.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of also too think, I feel like this probably has shined through in you because, I mean, let's be real, like Jonathan probably could have made a different decision than to fly you in and out from Idaho. But, it's like Mark and I were talking about this the other day. It's like, I want people at Morris-Jenkins to be like, Meredith's your girl. Like, that's who you want for this. And so it kind of sounds like that's what happened. It's like, Jonathan's like, nope, we want Brett. Like, and so I think when you come from the right place, then you become the name that people say, this is who we need. This is who we have to have, or this would be the perfect person for that. I think when you let that piece kind of shine through, people are willing to do Idaho commutes,
extraordinary things.
To make that work for you. So I feel like that's kind of, you can see that shine through in you. And people are willing to make accommodations to have the right person be there when they need them. Yep.
Yeah. So I think, how many weeks left do you have with this last class?
6 more weeks. We're ending week 2 right now.
Is that electrical, or do y'all do electrical first?
No, we're in refrigeration right now.
Right now.
We'll have a refrigeration final exam next week, and then we'll start electrical.
Yeah. I saw him in the halls. I think it was yesterday or the day before. I think it was Rob. I was walking past. He goes, just did our quiz. I was like, how'd it go? He's like, we're about to find out. And I'm like walking upstairs and I see techs everywhere walking around. I'm like, are y'all like y'all got the jitters? Y'all got to go for a lap or something before you come back? So you got 6 weeks left.
Yep.
We're going to celebrate you. But is there any final thoughts that you have that you want to leave behind for these technicians, for Morris-Jenkins? Like what do we need to hear from you that that can help people continue to drive forward?
I think aside from being a servant and striving for that and letting everything else fall in line, and it will, be a lifelong learner, which is a huge part of the MJ culture. Not only is equipment changing, that's always saying, oh, this equipment's changing, technology's changing, you got to stay on top of it. That aside, it flexes that brain muscle, and I think it's something that can excite you day in and day out, and keep you going, keep you interested in what you're doing, give you that extra push, on those long days.
Yeah.
But I think being a lifelong learner, both, on the personal side and on the technical side, how do you get better at being more empathetic for the customer situation?
Mm-hmm.
You just got out of a hot attic on your last call. They didn't sleep a wink last night, sweating in their house.
Yeah. Mark said something one time and it stuck with me. He said, we were talking about making goals for the year. And he says, if you're making goals at work, but you're not making goals at home, you have a personality disorder. Mm-hmm. It's like you can't have goals at work and say, I'm going to get after it in this way, but you go home and you just sit on the couch. You have to make goals on both sides. Yeah. So it's the same thing. In that case, it's like you gotta be able to set good goals and drive forward. Meredith, do you have any other questions before we jump into these songs? Because I've been thinking about these songs that he was talking about earlier, and I cannot freaking wait.
Okay, well, I think I'll ask. So one thing, I don't know if we told you about this, so surprise. One thing we do when we have a guest host is we ask them to leave a question for the next guest.
Okay.
So John Knight left a question for the next guest. He did not know that it would be you, and we already actually have kind of maybe talked about this a little bit, but this is John's question. This is your life. Are you who you want to be?
Yes.
I feel like this couldn't have happened to a better.
No, it really couldn't have.
Yeah, as I said earlier, I strive to, like, that's been my goal. Mm-hmm. And thankfully, I have a understanding wife that believes the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the most important thing in life, And it's important to reflect back and and be honest with yourself. You know, there's times when in life maybe you aren't exactly what you want, but noticing that, recognizing that, taking the steps forward. But that's just always been my motto. And I always felt like we say with service calls, if you're a good servant, the rest of it takes care of itself. I think that if you are living the life that you want, everything else takes care of itself. Right? Like, you'll be happy. You know, you'll find happiness in the people around you, in the things you do. Yeah. And I think challenging yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ashley said it the other day. She's like, we like to do hard things. Her and I like to do hard stuff.
How many pounds of meat was on her back?
Yeah. I mean, right. She's
It was an
carrying,
elk.
yeah, she's carrying an 75, 80 pound backpack. And I'm carrying a 75, 80 pound backpack. You know, it's half her weight.
Yeah.
It's not half my weight.
Brett, I need you to step it up.
Yeah.
Step it up.
Yeah. And I'm enjoying it. You know, I'm in that moment that we talked about earlier where you're just looking around like, this is awesome. She's not. I can tell when she's
Locked
like,
in.
I'm like, you good? I'm good.
Yeah.
She knows.
ma'am.
We've had this talk. She's like, I'm just in the moment, locked in.
Yeah.
You know? But I think that the challenging yourself, I think that's extremely important, that you go out and challenge yourself and you work hard and that you live your life like you want, because you'll be happy.
For sure.
And that goes so far in life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just health alone, you know?
Yeah.
But success in life comes to those people.
It sounds like if you're a good servant for yourself, then you really truly can be a good servant for others as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're kind of a living embodiment of,
Right.
yeah. Are you who you want to be?
John must have freaking known
I know.
that he was on next.
Okay. So then I'll ask you, what's your question? This really was putting you on the spot. I should have told you this beforehand. What's your question for our next guest, who we do not know who it's going to be yet?
What's a moment in your life that you knew you could have done better?
I love it. See how reflective our next guest is. Okay, now I can't wait because we've already had the precursor of Garth Brooks. All right, so as you guys know, we do a 5-song playlist. Every single person who comes on here does whatever they want to with the 5-song playlist. Some people do 5 artists, some people do 5 albums, some people do 8 songs. So
Yeah, some of them say F that. Just do what I want.
I'm gonna do it.
Do whatever I want.
Okay, so tell us your 5-song playlist.
Okay, so I guess I kind of did a mix of that. I'm not a huge music person. Like, I listened to John's podcast, and when he was on, and he talked about like how the album told this story.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I'm not that guy. I'm like, that's the pretty good music. Turn it up. That's the kind of guy I am, you know. But number one, I put was Garth Brooks. I'm a 90s country guy. As I told you earlier, Ashley makes fun of me. I like old stuff. I like old music. I like old trucks. I like old boats. I like old stuff.
Yeah, like you're an old soul.
Yeah. They hit, we were sitting at a stoplight one day and a new F-250 pulled up next to us. And I was like, man, those new ones are so ugly. It's like, yeah, but you like old stuff. Of course you think it's ugly.
Yeah.
So I put Garth Brooks. One thing that I realized in doing this exercise and bringing these was that apparently I like love songs because it is.
Oh, really?
Which are most country songs, right?
Yeah, true.
Most country songs are about a dog, a woman, a truck, and as Mr. Jenkins would say, what's not to like about that?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
I've been fortunate enough to have all of those, you know. But I put Garth Brooks down. It's the music I was raised on, and I still listen to it today. I don't know if there's something that I thought of when going through this exercise, if I like this music because it reminds me of my childhood. But it's still what I listen to today.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for
You
sure.
know?
I think John said he had the same CD. He's like, or tape or whatever. He's like, that's the same songs that I've been listening to.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't until a little over a year ago I got a pickup truck that didn't have a tape player in it. I was still putting Garth Brooks tapes in a year and a half, 2 years ago.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I put Garth Brooks down. If I had to choose a song, number one would be Shameless.
Oh,
Yep.
Don't look at me like I know. What
Rob's
no
not
idea.
gonna know. Yeah. When we were kids, Garth Brooks had a song, Thunder Rolls.
Yes.
And in his like live performance he did somewhere, I think in New York City, maybe Central Park or something, at the end, like him and the other guitar players, I think, smashed guitars together. And so when we were kids, I can't believe I want to admit this. When we were kids, my older brother and I, we would perform Thunder Rolls in the living room and take 2x4s and smash, like we were smashing the guitars together.
Nice. Very
Just
nice.
huge Garth Brooks fans.
Yeah, I see
Whole
that.
family.
I see that.
This is so great. This is like the things you could never imagine Brett doing.
Yeah,
But yeah.
Smashing 2x4s in the
Yeah.
living room.
And doing concerts. It's so great.
Yeah. Next, I put Tim McGraw, like Indian Outlaw Tim McGraw, early Tim McGraw, not like collaborated with Nelly Tim McGraw, the early, mullet Tim McGraw.
Yeah.
And the next is Chris Cagle. And when I told Ashley about this question, she's like, Chris Cagle, Chris Cagle, Chris Cagle.
Oh,
because she knows
she's
how
got
much.
your number,
Yeah,
yeah.
she's got. Yeah.
Is this a phase right now that you're going through, or is this just like
No,
she
this is
knows
just-
you just love that all the time?
Yeah.
All the
just
time.
forever. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'll listen to other music.
Yeah.
But if I have to just quick put something on, if it's what I'm
Chris
choosing,
Cagle.
yeah.
Any
it's-
specific songs that come to mind for him?
Yeah. So, well, he's got one. Country songs are love songs or sad songs. This is a sad song.
Okay.
Thank God She Left the Whiskey. And it's about he leaves and he comes home and the house is empty. She packed all her stuff up, but she left a bottle of whiskey.
Dang.
That's what he was going to need to get through
That's
it.
beat up. She knew what he needed.
Yeah. And then a more modern one that you might know is Cody Johnson.
Even worse. I've heard the other ones. Never heard of that.
Yeah. It's funny. Cody Johnson has a song called Dirt Cheap. And in the song, he sings about, it's a story about like a developer coming in and trying to buy up the farm, the family farm, the ranch. And he tells the developer that, this is where my daughter used to swing right there. My dog's buried under that tree. I took a knee and proposed to my wife there. How do you expect me to sell this? This dirt doesn't come cheap, And so, funny story, I don't know if you guys get it. If you own a home, there's people trying to buy your stuff all the time. So these people text us trying to buy a piece of our little postage stamp lot. We've got a little 2-acre lot next to it, and they're trying to buy it all the time. And they're always texting me, hey, are you interested in selling your lot? So a few weeks ago, I just copied and pasted the lyrics to this song and replied to the
Very
text
nice.
with that.
Very nice.
And I can't imagine what they thought when they read it,
Guess this
story
is a no.
about my daughter was there and my dog's buried here. This dirt doesn't come cheap.
Yeah.
And they didn't reply. So it achieved.
Had got a text back from him.
Yeah,
I guess they
yeah,
got the picture.
It achieved what I wanted to achieve.
Yeah.
But this country, like 90s country, it was on the radio working at the job site with my dad. And I think that's why, I enjoy it
takes
so
you back.
much. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the last one is, do you remember the Now CDs
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
from like the late 90s?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
So they had like Now 1, 2, and it was like 15,
Now
20
65.
of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
They might still make them.
Yeah.
There was one called Going South, and that was like my dad's favorite CD that when CDs were starting to come out and we were playing it on the boat or playing it, at the job site. And it was like Southern classic rock.
Yeah.
Like 38 Special, Leonard Skinner type
Now we're
stuff,
talking.
Marshall
Now
Tucker.
I can get down with those. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yep.
So that album would be like that style of music. I still listen to that a lot. If I'm not listening to country music, that's what I'm listening to.
Have you at least upgraded from using DVDs, CDs? You now listening to it on like Spotify?
Yeah,
or
we're on
something?
Spotify now.
Okay,
Okay, good.
Just
Just
checking.
checking.
He's like, I still have mine now.
I took
Going
the-
South
yeah.
CD.
Yeah. I recently took the box set of Garth Brooks out of the truck.
Okay.
When I
Just
got a
recently.
new truck
We're moving
last
on
year.
up.
Yeah.
Moving on up. He got his new truck. It was a 1998 F-250. Dude, that's awesome. Now, I've only heard of maybe 2 of those artists, so I'm going to have to go check these out afterwards.
Yep. So you kind of already alluded to this, but what would you say this playlist says about Brett Sumpter?
Yeah, I think, I guess it says that I like love songs. I guess I like a happy story.
Let it be known, Brett has a soft spot.
This
It's
is
in
like,
there. It might be buried, but it's in there.
because let's remember the first question about what is something that people often get wrong about you that
I'm too direct.
they don't care about. I don't care about your feelings.
Yeah,
But yet I do love songs.
yeah.
That's great.
Like I said, I've been fortunate enough to have the great hunting dogs, to have the amazing wife, to have a good truck, and it's
Yeah.
like I guess I connect with the songs. You know,
Yep.
and if that's not you, there's some sad songs too.
That's right.
Yep.
Take your
Yeah,
pick.
Take your pick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we really, really, really appreciate you coming on. We could not miss this opportunity to commemorate the Brett Sumpter era.
Thank you.
You've had such a big impact on so many people's lives on Morris-Jenkins. We couldn't thank you enough for that. So
Thank you.
we really,
Thanks for
really,
having me.
really appreciate you being here today.
It's an amazing place, and I'm going to miss it for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, we're gonna miss you too, man. Love you, man.
Yeah,
Appreciate you.
Love you too, bro.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. Well, that's it, guys. Follow us on Spotify, Apple, or YouTube, and we will see you again in 2 weeks. Until then, peace, love, and easy does it.
Hey, appreciate y'all.
Thanks, guys.